Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up. It's the show where I go over the week's pop culture news, mostly comic books and movies. Let's get right into it. Captain America returns with the new ongoing series. In fact, 2 ongoing series. So April sees the release of Marvel Comics' Captain Marvel #0. And that's going to spin off into 2 separate Captain America books. One's going to be focused on Sam Wilson. One's going to be focused in on Steve Rogers. The first one after the 0 issue is going to be in May. It's going to be Captain America, Symbol of Truth. This is the Sam Wilson book. It's going to be written by Tochi Onyebuchi with artwork by R.B. Silva. Not familiar with the writer, not familiar with their work, so I don't know what to expect out of that. R.B. Silva is a really talented artist. The saddest thing about this news is that it means we're losing him definitively from Fantastic Four, and I think he's been a big boost in the excitement levels over at Fantastic Four, so that kind of sucks. I also don't know about the idea of 2 Captain Americas at the same time. I just don't know how that's going to play out, don't know how that's going to work. We've seen it before, and I don't know. Sam Wilson is a great character, and obviously, if you got an upcoming Captain America projects and Sam Wilson's going to be Cap, you want to tie it in there. In June, we get Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty, and this is going to be the Steve Rogers-focused issues, and it's going to be written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with artwork by Carmen Canero. Canero's a very talented artist, very excited to see what she can bring to this title. Kelly and Lansing are decent writers. I really like their book Zojja Khan from back in the early Vault days. They recently did the Kang the Conqueror miniseries that I know a lot of people liked, so we'll see, right? It's been a long time since I've really liked a Captain America book. In fact, the last time I really, truly enjoyed a Captain America book was the Mark Waid, Leonardo Romero, I think Chris Samney was on there for a little bit, and it was just kind of like a filler run or something like that. So we'll see what happens, right? Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood is releasing in April. This is going to be a mini-series, an anthology, with a bunch of different creators doing Moon Knight stories in Black, White, and Red. We've seen this before. Elektra is going on right now. They did Deadpool. They did Wolverine. They've done Carnage. Over at Dynamite, they're doing Red Sonja, basically, and the same type thing. And DC did all their Wonder Woman Black and Gold, Superman Red and Blue, Batman Black and White, color-themed anthologies, right? Why do we care? Number one, it's Moon Knight. So I think getting some talented creators to come in and do things interesting story-wise and interesting visually with that technique of Black, White, and Red could be really cool for a character in particular like Moon Knight. We got Jonathan Hickman and Chris Bachalo doing the main lead anthology story in the first issue. A lot of people thought that this meant Hickman and Bachalo were going to be doing Moon Knight as an ongoing. It's not. They're just doing a little tiny story there. They're also going to be joined in that first issue by Mark Guggenheim and Jorge Fornes. Very excited to see Jorge do what he does over in the world of Moon Knight. And then Moriwa, Ayodele, and Toten Akanda. Not familiar with their work, so we'll see what happens there. SpiderPunk gets its own 5-issue miniseries in April from Marvel Comics. This is going to be written by Cody Ziegler and artwork by Justin Mason. Not familiar with Justin Mason. Ziegler is one of the writers that's currently on the Amazing Spider-Man book, doing the whole Spider-Man Beyond story or whatever, so I don't know. Spider-Punk is a fan favorite Spider-Verse type character, so it's cool to see what happens there, right? Elektra 100 is a one-shot. This is also in April, written by Ann Nocenti, with artwork by Paulo C. Cuera, Ty Templeton, and other various artists on that creative team. It's going to probably be, I think, an anthology series celebrating the history and legacy of the character of Elektra. They have done some fandangling. They have figured out they are about to hit issue 100 of a solo Elektra book, though she doesn't have a solo book right now. Well, she's Daredevil. But that's not an Elektra book. They're not counting that. It doesn't matter. Ann Nocenti, when she was on Daredevil back in the 80s with John Romita Jr., never really got a chance to do much with Elektra because Elektra was dead and they were in this no resurrection policy. And So it's interesting to see this, right? Anna Cinti coming back in, writing an Elektra story, and I do believe I've heard that it's an Elektra versus Typhoid Mary story, which would be right up her alley. So I'm excited to see this, see what happens. Strange Academy issue 18, which releases in April, is going to be the final issue of the series. For now, don't worry, it will return in August for the second semester. They're promising a big deal cliffhanger type ending. This has been one of Marvel's best series, so yeah, it's sad that it's going on basically a hiatus, but as long as it continues to be Young and Ramos, I am pumped. This is a really great book. Justice League issue 75, speaking of final issues, will be the final issue of that series. It drops in April. That's all this stuff pretty much dropped. There's one book in June. Everything else is in April. But Justice League 75, written by Joshua Williamson with artwork by Rafa Sandoval. This is going to be kind of the end of the second act of Joshua Williams' whole Infinite Frontier crisis setup or whatever, right? So we had Infinite Frontier, and that was like its own series. Now we're doing Justice League Incarnate, and that Dark Army is going to appear now in the pages of the Justice League, and they're teasing the death of the Justice League. That's just marketing. That's just a marketing ploy. It's not a real thing. Like, if anybody thinks they're really going to kill the majority of the Justice League, no. Death of Justice League means that the Justice League's going to crumble, right? Like the organization, and it's setting up what's to come in the third and final act of, at least probably, in my opinion, if we can guesstimate, it's going to be a lead-in to Joshua Williamson-directed Crisis event, right? That's what it's going to be. So we'll see right there. Then we got Sandman Universe Nightmare Country. I don't know if this is a miniseries or an ongoing. It's probably going to be a miniseries. Everything's a miniseries nowadays. What does that mean? 5 issues? 6, 8, 12, 10, 15, 11, 100, who knows, 25, who knows, but this is going to be written by James Tynion with artwork by, who's the artist? I didn't write the artist down, so shame on me. However, it's going to be focused in on the character of the Corinthian, James Tynion doing that stuff, doing that, what he does well, horror, in mainstream comics right now. This could be really freaking cool. Then we have Flash, Fastest Man Alive. This is going to be a 3-issue series starting in April, written by Kenny Porter. The first issue has artwork by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. Each issue will have a different artist. I think the second one is Juan Ferreira, and the third one I think is Jason Howard, right? But what this is it's a prequel to the Flash movie. So if you're excited for this Flash movie, it comes out in November. It's been a long time coming. They're doing the Flashpoint. They're bringing back Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck and who knows what else from the random DC properties and films and TV shows. We'll see what happens, but this is the official prequel. So will it reveal a lot about what's coming up in the movie? Historically, these things don't, but, you know, we'll check it out anyway. April also starts Image, which is a new 12-issue anthology series. Image is celebrating 30 years as a company. Very big milestone for this company, and they're celebrating it with a 12-issue anthology series that's going to run month to month during the entirety of its 30th year. It's going to have a lead-in story that goes through all 12 issues by Jeff Johns and Andrea Muti, but it's also going to have work by Mirko Andolfo, W. Maxwell Prince, Martine Mariso, Robert Kirkman, Ed Brubaker, Joe Casey, Brian Lee O'Malley, James Tynion, Karen Gillan, a who's who of Image talent, especially in the more modern era. I would love, we gotta get some Valentino, some Larson, some McFarlane, some Silvestri. Hell, bring Liefeld in for an 8-page Youngblood story by Robert Kirkman. I want the Founding Fathers as a part of this as well, but we'll see what happens as these 12 issues develop. Old Dog debuts in June from Image, and this is from Declan Shalvey. It's about this old school spy. He's semi-retired. He's got to come out of retirement, and he's got to work with a new partner, and he's an old dog that needs to learn new tricks, right? Here's the thing. Declan Shalvey is not only a fantastic artist, he is a hell of a writer. He did that book Savage Town a couple years ago over at Image. That was really good. Really does really great crime fiction. So I'm excited for this because not only is Declan writing it, which he also writes Time Before Time, which I know there's a fandom out there for that, but he's doing the artwork as well. I could not be more freaking excited for this just because I love his artwork and I'm excited to see that. I know he wants to write, but I love his illustrations, so hell yeah, write and draw an issue, a comic book series, and I'm down for it. A Town Called Terror arrives in April from Image. This is by Steve Niles and Szymon Kudranski. This one is about a dude who gets violently kidnapped one night and taken into this town that is populated by monsters. And this is supposed to be like the first series in an overall new world of horror and terror created by Kudranski and Niles. So Steve Niles, of course, we know from 30 Days of Night. He was the creator of that property. He's a pretty solid horror writer, right? He's got great stuff, he's got okay stuff, and he's got stuff that's not so good. But I'm excited for this one because Szymon is an absolutely fantastic artist, especially when it comes to horror. So we'll definitely check that one out. Farmhand finally returns after a 2-year hiatus in April. Everybody's talking about the return of Saga, and rightly so. I just finished rereading all of Saga to do a show on Verno, the Cerebros channel, and I don't know if it's aired yet, but it probably air on Sunday or something. I don't know. But whenever it airs, check it out. Sub up to the Cerebros. But Farmhand is a great book by Rob Guillory. I loved it. 3 trade paperbacks are out. We start the 4th arc after a 2-year break in April with issue number 16. Then we got the British Paranormal Society. That debuts in April from Dark Horse. This is a new Mike Mignola, Hellboy, Mignola-verse type thing. Chris Robertson joining them there. And Andrea Muti. We're seeing Muti on a whole lot of work right now. Maniac of New York. He did the Vlad Dracul book. He unfortunately left A Dark Interlude, but probably because he's filling his schedule with all these other things. So seeing a talented writer or a talented artist work with Mike Mignola for a Mignola Universe project, that really freaking excites me, because as much as I love Mike Mignola, especially Mike's artwork, but Mignola, his writing is really solid, but when he has a really great artist to work with, it gets me even more excited. Let's see. Dynamite's got John Carter of Mars debuting in April. This is going to be written by Chuck Brown and artwork by George Kambadias. This is going to be an interesting kind of story because it's taking the John Carter story and it's kind of flipping it. It's like something happens, and all of the Mars, residents and the stuff going on in Mars, creatures on Mars and stuff, they wind up on Earth. So John Carter is on Earth in Virginia fighting Martian monsters, right? And then some of the people on Earth have been whisked away to Mars. So that's an interesting kind of spin on that project. Chuck Brown, of course, co-writer, co-creator of Bitter Root, one of my favorite books out there, so that's really interesting. The Immortal Red Sonja is debuting from Dynamite in April, and it's going to be by Dan Abnett and Alessandro Miracolo. And this is going to be Red Sonja's story set in the days of King Arthur. It's got some banging covers coming out, of course, and I'm excited to check it out. Dan Abnett, a very talented creator. This is an interesting era to place the Red Sonja character, so I think that could be really freaking cool. Quests Aside is a new one from Vault from April. No cover, no artwork shown yet, but it's Brian Shermer and Alina Gokow. This is described as kind of like a fantasy story, but what's really enticing to me is it's about a person who owns a bar in a fantasy situation, right? And the mayor or the ruler of this kingdom, they decide to close down the bar, and so they have to find a way to save it. So I don't know. I mean, we don't got any artwork, and I'm not familiar with this artist. Brian Shermer did My Fair Lady, which I thought, or Fair Lady, which is not My Fair Lady, but Fair Lady, which I thought was a pretty decent book. So I'm excited to check this out. I really feel, because Vault's made a lot of creative team announcements over the last few weeks. This is the first full-on announcement of where it's attached to, so I think that's pretty cool. Bill Sienkiewicz, Stray Toasters. Y'all, if you never read Stray Toasters, which was published over at the Epic Marvel line back in the day, what was that, late 80s, early 90s, something like that? I have the original issues somewhere in that corner, and I gotta get over there and find them, because I want to revisit this, I want to reread it. But Stray Toasters was a great book, and in April, Bill Sienkiewicz is kickstarting a deluxe hardcover edition of this perennial work from him, and I'm really freaking excited for that. Then real quick, we got a sequel to A Christmas Story coming out. It's going to be an HBO Max original movie. It's going to star the original kid who played the main character. I can't remember his name. I ain't Nick comic culture. I'm not the hugest fan of A Christmas Story, but it is exciting to see a sequel come out or whatever, but they'll probably ignore the sequel of Daniel Stern that they did. But the real lame thing is the name. The name of it is A Christmas Story Christmas. And real quick, Heat. Heat has a sequel/prequel coming out in novel form in August, but it's actually written by Michael Mann. He's got a co-writer, of course, but Michael Mann's developing these concepts, and this novel is going to serve as a prequel and as a sequel to Heat. I think taking place in like 89 or something in 2004. So Heat is a really fantastic movie. In fact, Heat is on fire. So much heat, it's on fire. Anyway, really excited for that. So that's what the news is. That's what we got for you this week. What's coming up here on the channel and over at our affiliates. That's Dylan's Horror Show tonight. We're going to be talking about Scream 5. That's right. We're not fools. We're doing it right way, you know. We're not calling it Scream 2022. We're calling it Scream 5, and we're doing a review. Dylan really likes it. I just actually, right before I filmed this here video, watched it. And y'all, let me tell you something. Dylan loves this movie, and I'm going to hurt his feelings. I'm going to hurt his feelings because I have some thoughts. We're going to get to them. Rockin' Robbie live on Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, continuing my Kung Fu journey. And I also checked out a Takashi Miike film that I've never watched and never was ever on my radar. It's Wild One. We'll be talking about that. Lots of fun coming up on Rockin' Robbie Live. PCP Movie Night, Monday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. The Beastmaster by Don Coscarelli. I cannot be more excited. Of course, all other kinds of things shaked out throughout the week here at Pop Culture Philosophers. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Let us know in the comments below any of your thoughts about any of this news that we shared or anything that we missed. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and join us over at popculturephilosophers.com. That's our website. Check out all kinds of links there to our merch, to our podcast, to our blogs. Nobody's written a blog in, I'll say, months. Hasn't necessarily been years. It's been months. But that doesn't really matter. Anyway, thank you for all the support. We really do appreciate it. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading, keep on riving, keep on living. And what is it? Station, pop, pop, boom!